Starches and carbohydrates. There are many different forms of carbohydrates. I guess the first question is, are all carbs starches or are all starches carbs?
All starches are carbs, but not all carbs are starches.
All carbs are starches, not all starches are carbs.
You got it backwards.
Okay.
All starches are carbs.
All starches are carbs.
But not all carbs are starches.
Okay.
For example, when we think of starchy foods, we think of grains. We think, especially refined grains, white bread, pasta, etc. That would be starchy carbohydrates.
Starch.
However, there are other carbs.
Isn't corn on the cob starch?
Eventually, it's not as refined because it's still a whole kernel. But yes, eventually it becomes a starch grain.
So corn is, after it's cooked, it's starch.
The longer it's cooked, the longer it's processed, the more starchy it becomes.
Okay.
Is
that the best example of a starch as the vegetable?
Yeah, except for grains.
Like what grains?
Well, virtually
Oats?
all grains, but wheats are the worst. Wheat is the worst because
so wheat bread is a starch.
Very starchy.
And a carb.
Yes.
Okay.
But there are other carbs that have nothing to do with that. Fruits.
Okay.
Vegetables that are high in fiber. They are all sugar. Sugar's a carbohydrate. It's not a starch.
So all candy is just carb, not sugar. Yeah. Okay. And so what are the best carbohydrates to consume for, I mean, everything in moderation, but what are the best carbohydrates to consume?
The most complex you can find.
Okay.
So that would be whole grains. That would be fresh fruit.
Okay.
That would be your best area. The more refined the carbohydrate becomes, the more they process it, the more it's ground and beaten into a pulp and then into a white powder and then reconstituted. And all of that creates a carbohydrate which converts to blood sugar in minutes sometimes.
And that's a good thing?
And that's not a good thing.
Okay.
Because the more refined your carbohydrates, the faster your blood sugar is going to rise.
And then faster it's going to fall.
Eventually.
Yeah. What are the carbohydrate? What are the dangers connected with carbohydrates in the diet? Besides, the obvious one is the weight factor that a lot of people deal with.
Yes.
The carbohydrate intolerance.
Yes. You see, our ancestors, not that long ago, probably 200-300 years, which is very much time.
Yeah.
Consumed their carbohydrates as whole grains. When they baked bread, it weighed about 9 pounds.
Yeah.
Because it was heavy, because it was whole grain. And all they did was just pound it. But they didn't have, nor did they understand how to refine these grains. Let me tell you something interesting about wheat. You might have noticed, if you're a baker, or if you buy white bread, it says enriched.
Yeah, enriched.
This is made with enriched white flour or enriched flour. When they refine wheat into white flour, they destroy all of the nutrients in that grain.
Okay.
All of it. So it basically is a nutritionless, lifeless, starchy substance.
That doesn't sound very good.
It's not very good.
Okay.
So in order to create a marketing...
Oh, they can put some vitamins in it.
They're going to put... So basically, whole grains provide about 16 nutrients. Vitamins, minerals, etc. Okay. So when they take them all out, then they decide, for marketing purposes, that doesn't look very good. So we're going to put 4 back in.
Okay.
And if someone held you up at gunpoint and said, "Give me your money or your life," and you had $16 in your wallet, one for each nutrient, and you said, "Here, man," and then the guy looks at you and you're kind of shaking and he feels sorry for you, so he gives you $4 back.
Yeah.
Would you feel enriched by that experience?
Oh, and then that's why they put enriched on
Exactly.
the thing.
If they hadn't destroyed all the nutrients in the first place, they wouldn't have to enrich them.
So what is the safe level of carbohydrate intake then? I mean, if you're carbohydrate intolerant.
Well, that's an entirely different story if you are.
Yeah.
But let's say you aren't.
Okay.
Let's say you don't have any of these metabolic issues. Okay. Then the amount of carbohydrates you should consume directly reflects and depends on the type of carbohydrate. The more complex, the more you can consume safely without gaining weight.
Yeah.
The more refined, the fewer you can consume without a host of potential side effects, one of which is weight gain.
Yeah, and so that kind of just like what the normal thing people say is moderation is everything.
Well, yeah, sure. If a little's good, more is very rarely better.